Welcome to Honeybee, real stories of love, lies, and betrayal, where every truth stings. Let's begin. Charles and Ivanka had been married for several years. From the outside, they looked like any ordinary couple, two people building a life together. But behind closed doors, their marriage was far from perfect. Arguments had become part of their daily routine. Some about small, meaningless things, others about much bigger issues. Yet no matter what sparked them, they all pointed to the same truth, a growing distance between them. Charles, despite everything, loved his wife deeply. He wasn't flawless, but he did his best to secure their future. Together they were saving for a house, a dream that Charles held on to like a lifeline. He pictured a day when they'd finally settle down in a place they could call their own. But Ivanka saw things differently. One evening started out like any other. What began as a minor disagreement soon turned into something heavier. Charles had just returned from work, drained but eager for a quiet evening. The tension was already in the air. Ivanka had asked for something, and Charles reminded her they couldn't afford it right now. She didn't want to hear it. As usual, the conversation spiraled quickly into something much bigger, sharper, and more painful. Her voice was cutting. She had a way of making Charles feel like he was always failing, like nothing he did was ever enough. "Why do I have to keep explaining this to you?" she snapped, rolling her eyes. Charles tried to steady his voice. "Ivanka, I'm trying, I really am. But it feels like nothing I do ever satisfies you." She let out a dry, humorless laugh. "Trying? That's what you call this? You're not trying, Charles. You're just doing the bare minimum and expecting me to be grateful." Her words pierced deeper than she realized. Charles could feel frustration boiling inside him. Bare minimum? He wanted to remind her of the sacrifices, the endless hours of work, the savings, the effort. But what was the point? Her dismissiveness hurt more than anything. Finally, his patience broke. He grabbed his keys and walked toward the door. He needed air, space. Anything but the suffocating sense of never being enough. "I can't do this right now," he muttered, leaving Ivanka standing there unaffected. He didn't know that this night would change everything. Charles had barely made it down the street when he realized he had forgotten his wallet. Annoyed, but knowing he couldn't get far without it, he turned back. He slipped inside quietly, hoping not to spark another fight. But the moment he entered, he froze. Ivanka's voice drifted from the next room. She was on the phone. At first, he paid little attention, only focused on grabbing his wallet and leaving unnoticed. But then her words stopped him cold. "I settle for less." A chill shot through him. His heart hammered in his chest. "I should have been with Dean, but I needed stability. Charles is a good man, but never the one I truly wanted." The world seemed to collapse around him. Suddenly, everything made sense. Her distant affection, the endless fights, the coldness that lingered in their home. It had never been about money. She had never truly loved him, not the way he loved her. Charles quietly picked up his wallet and slipped out the door without a sound. The cool night air hit his face, but it did nothing to dull the sting of what he had just heard. He wandered aimlessly until he found himself in a bar. It wasn't one he usually visited, but that didn't matter. He just needed a place to sit, to think, to let the truth sink in. He ordered a beer. The bitterness on his tongue was nothing compared to the bitterness in his chest. Ivanka had never wanted him. All those years, he believed their struggles were temporary, that his love and sacrifices were worth it. But it had all been meaningless. She had settled. And in doing so, she had trapped him in a marriage built on convenience, not love. For a brief moment, he considered confronting her. But what was the point? What could he say? That he had overheard everything? She might apologize, maybe even cry, but it wouldn't change the truth. Her heart had never been his. As he stared at the amber liquid in his glass, a quiet but final decision formed in his mind. He wouldn't just leave the night. He would leave for good. He would vanish, erase himself from her world, and give her exactly what she wanted. Freedom. That night, while Ivanka slept, Charles made his move. He sat in front of his laptop, logged into their joint savings account, and withdrew what was rightfully his 80% of the funds, the portion he had earned alone. But he didn't take out cash. Instead, he purchased valuable, resellable assets, electronics, rare collectibles, things he could later liquidate. Once finished, he erased all traces of the transactions. Then he packed. Only the essentials, documents, some clothes, anything useful for starting over. No sentimental items. There was nothing left to hold on to. Before leaving, he wrote a short note. I overheard everything. I won't stand in the way of your happiness. Go find your ideal partner. By morning, Charles was gone. Ivanka woke expecting a normal day. Instead, she found the note. Her stomach dropped. Panic surged as she realized he hadn't just left for the night. He had left forever. Her hands trembled as she dialed his number. Disconnected. She emailed him. The response, undelivered. She checked his social media. Deleted, completely gone. In desperation, she called his office. Hours later, the receptionist finally answered casually. Oh, Charles? He resigned this morning. Sent an email before office hours. That's when it hit her. He had planned this. This wasn't an impulsive reaction. He had deliberately erased himself from her life. Now she stood in an empty house with nothing but the consequences of her own words. With Charles gone, Ivanka no longer had to hide. She turned fully to Declan, the man she thought she should have been with all along. What had once been whispers and secret moments was now out in the open. At first, it felt like everything she wanted. Declan said all the right things, made her feel desired, and reassured her she had chosen correctly. But as months passed, cracks began to show. Declan was charming, but distant. He avoided serious talks about the future. Soon, Ivanka discovered the truth. He wasn't devoted to her. He still entertained other women, still lived freely. What she thought was love was nothing but convenience for him. Slowly, she began comparing. Charles, despite their struggles, had always been there. He fought for their marriage. He sacrificed for their future. He gave his all. Declan gave her nothing but temporary excitement. No stability. No sacrifice. No real future. And then the painful truth hit her. She hadn't settled for less. She had thrown away something real for an illusion. Years passed. Ivanka remained single. Declan, the man she thought was her true love, never committed. Whenever she mentioned marriage, he brushed it off. Eventually, she realized she had never been a priority. She was just another option. And whenever she confronted him, he reminded her of one cruel fact. I never asked you to leave your husband. Those words cut her every time. Humiliation, regret, anger, because he was right. Leaving Charles had been her choice, and it was one she could never undo. Now, every so often, she thought about Charles. Where was he? Did he move on? Did he find happiness with someone else? The more she pushed the thoughts away, the stronger they returned. She had a man who loved her, who dreamed of a life with her, and she destroyed it for someone who never truly wanted her. And that's the story. What can we take from it? Sometimes, we don't realize the value of what we have until it's gone. It's easy to dismiss the efforts of someone who truly cares, only to regret it when they're no longer there. Chasing what we think we want often blinds us to what we truly need. Words carry weight. What we say to our partners, even when they're not listening, can either strengthen or completely shatter a relationship. Love isn't just passion or excitement. It's trust, respect, and companionship. Without those, passion fades. If you don't appreciate someone's presence, one day you may be forced to live with their absence. Charles didn't walk away in anger. He left because he knew staying where he wasn't truly wanted would only hurt them both. Some believe love is worth fighting for no matter what. Others know when it's time to let go. So tell me, do you think Charles made the right choice by leaving? Or should he have stayed and fought for his marriage? Share your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, take care and stay wise.